Good evening and welcome. I'm Susan Sherrick and I'm the director of the Center for Entrepreneurial Studies, and I'm so delighted that you're here tonight. Let me start by asking you a few questions. And I want you to raise your hands if this fits you. Who here spends a few hours a day on Facebook? Okay. Who checks LinkedIn daily? Who here considers themselves a Twitterholic? Okay, right. Everyone here is on social media all the time. And I'm even happy to report that our new Pope, Francis I, began tweeting this week to his 2 million followers. As we evolve with social media, the big question has become, how can we use this great tool to promote ourselves and our careers? You can tweet your way to a new job. You can also tweet your way out of a job. What would your boss like you to post on Facebook? What would offend your boss? Should you blog? If you can figure all of this out, you are going to be successful in today's business world. Lucky for you, we have an awesome panel of experts with us this evening who will share effective social media tips and strategies. First, however, we want to thank the wonderful professional group that has made this evening possible, the New Jersey Turnaround Management Association. I would now like to introduce Paul Rome, president of the NJTMA, to tell us more about his organization. Thank you.
The Turnaround Management Association is an international organization. There are chapters in South America, Europe, Asia, and they're in the United States as well. The New Jersey membership is about 225, and they're seasoned professionals who get involved with the turnaround of businesses. And I say that, but sometimes they don't turn around. They fail, and we have to become the liquidators of that company. The seasoned professionals are attorneys, accountants, turnaround specialists who call themselves chief restructuring officers usually, who get appointed to make the decisions on how the company can turn around. Also, lenders are involved, usually asset-based lenders, cash flow lenders. And it's a community, a small knit community, so usually when a business is struggling in New Jersey, you can see 4 of our members present. We have been associated with Seton Hall now for 3 consecutive years, doing different panels, and we hope this panel, you will enjoy this panel as well. In closing, I just wanted to mention that you can join as a student. I think the the student fee for 1 year is $75. And you can interplay with the turnaround professionals. The other thing in closing I wanted to mention was there's a Karl Marx student paper competition for master students regarding a paper regarding a turnaround business. If they want to enter it, the prizes are, I think, $3,000, $1,500, and a third prize of $500 or whatever, and a trip to DC. And that ends on June 3rd, so you would have to work on that and submit it. But you could submit it through our chapter. You don't have to be a member to submit it, and we'd be only too glad to introduce it to national. I hope everyone enjoys the panel, and I want to introduce the moderator, Bill Giovanello.
Thank you, Paul. I'm Bill Giovanello. I'm a managing director at BDO USA, and in my role at BDO, I work in the Transaction Advisory Services Group, where we perform due diligence on behalf of companies that are buying other companies. So I just want to introduce our panel. and get things underway here. Suzanne Brock is from Gibbons PC in Newark, New Jersey, and she focuses her legal practice on employment litigation and counseling on behalf of employers. Suzanne, do you want to give a little background on your social media experience and your role at Gibbons?
Sure. Good evening, everyone, and thanks for having me here. So, as an employment attorney, I spend my days both defending employers in litigation, and more of my practice actually is counseling employers so they don't wind up in litigation. And in the last few years, there just has been such an interest from employers in social media, and also how to handle social media with their employees, because they have their employees on Facebook all day, wanting to use social media to help their businesses. So there's just all these questions that have come up with how to effectively use social media in the workplace. And part of my job is, from a legal standpoint, to guide employers on best practices for their business and with respect to their employees, and guiding their social media policies.
Okay, thank you. And our next panelist is Sarah Sorelli, who's a senior marketing coordinator at Withum Smith & Brown in Red Bank. And in that role, Sarah works as a social media strategist and interactive marketing guru. And Sarah, can you give us a little bit on your background in social media as well as your role at Withum?
Sure. Hi guys, how you doing? I started about 6 years ago with Withum Smith & Brown as an intern, actually, and I was hired almost entirely to do internal kind of marketing work with the firm. Mostly some of our events, our large-scale events. And through these years, as marketers really started shifting their budgets away from traditional media into digital media, there really just became this entirely new role for me as a senior marketing coordinator, interactive marketing. So I spend almost, all my days kind of helping our professionals, really use social media, not think of it as a way, as just something entirely different to do in their day-to-day, but just to kind of help them do what they're already doing more efficiently. That's really the way you have to think about it. You can't think of it as just another thing to do. It's never going to happen for you that way. You just really have to think about it as something to help you do what you're already doing. Also, my night job, I also teach Zumba fitness, totally the same thing as accounting. So I kind of get both aspects, both ends of it, so it's a lot of fun.
Okay, thank you.
Sure.
And last but not least is Associate Professor of Marketing here at the Stillman School of Business, and that's Dan Laddick. And Dan, if you can just give us a similar background on your social media expertise, and also let us know where Dano came from.
Well, I have a passion for this stuff. And I say stuff not so lightly, because I very much am in the mode of trying to figure all this out. And those of you that are in class with me all the time, I use my expression, welcome to the Wild Wild West. If we were talking about strategy, and if we were in a marketing strategy class, I would have 3 or 4 decades of incredible literature to be able to present to you. In a social media class, I don't have anything. There's no rules. There's very few standard practices. And everybody's throwing an awful lot of stuff against the wall to see what sticks. And a lot of people are just copying each other for the sake of copying each other without any strategic reason for what they're doing. I teach social media on the undergraduate level and the graduate level. And do I have any Giants fans in class? Jets fans in class? We ready for Super Bowl here in 2014? I'm very happy to be part of the 2014 social media team for the Super Bowl. There's 21 of us that we have been planning for about 3 or 4 months now, pretty actively, of how we're going to be able to handle the somewhere between 1.5 and 2 million people that come to the greater New Jersey, New York City area for this Super Bowl event. And you have to think about the Super Bowl. Yeah, only 80,000 people get to go into the game, but we need 21,000 hotel rooms for all the people that are going to experience the Super Bowl here. There's going to be an awful lot of social media communication during that, and that's why they assembled this team. I look forward to tonight's event, and please ask a lot of questions.
Okay, thank you. And yeah, I want to encourage the audience to ask questions throughout the presentation here. And there's a microphone up front if you want to come up and ask a question. So to kick this off a little bit, okay, I have a confession. Okay, I have a Facebook account, I have a Twitter account, I have LinkedIn. Facebook, I think I signed up because somebody said I needed it to figure out when some meeting was. LinkedIn, people send me invitations to join or connect with people, and once a week maybe I'll get in there and click yes or whatever. Twitter, I think I have one of those as well. Couldn't tell you how it works. But anyway, what can we do? For somebody like me, I'm a professional who's been around for a while, and students as well. How can we use these things effectively? Sarah, do you want to start?
Yeah, sure. Actually, I'm so pleased to be sitting next to Dan because I actually have to echo every single thing he said about the strategy. You never know if your opinions are going to conflict on panels like this, so this is really easy for me. But, in the past year or two, just the social media industry in general has become so incredibly saturated because everybody feels like they have to be doing everything. But really, before you start signing up for all of these different accounts, whether you're looking for a job, you're selling a product or a service or whatever it might be, you really have to remember to take a step back and focus on the strategy. You wouldn't throw sneakers in a cereal aisle just because Kellogg's is making tons of money in there. You really have to figure out, where is your target demographic spending their time online? Because they're on there. Everybody's spending their time online. And what you need to do is, really spend, you have to kind of think about not forgetting about the basics of marketing, the 4 Ps of marketing. Whether you're marketing online or you're marketing offline, everything's just kind of the same. You have to know your product or know your cause. You need to figure out where your target demographic is hanging out online. You need to put yourself there. And when you do, you need to be first, you need to be different, you need to be great, you need to be unique. But the same thing with Justin Bieber. I don't know if you guys know, but his entire career started off of social media, off of YouTube. He's a smart kid, and he was working with some really smart people, and he knew who he needed to reach. And he put himself on YouTube right in front of the right kind of eyes. Imagine what would have happened for him if he, just kind of sent something out through Twitter or sent something out through LinkedIn. It just doesn't make any sense. So before you kind of just go kind of crazy in the wild, wild west and start, setting up for all of these different accounts and they're going to collect dust and just kind of stop working for you, you really need to take a step back and think of the strategy of it all. That's really what I would say.
Another way to say it is just ask why. If you can't answer the why do I need this versus that, or why am I even doing a Twitter? I always love when people say that. I need a Twitter.
I need a Twitter.
I need a Twitter. Why? There needs to be a strategic reason why you're going to do it. And usually what happens is that you'll see people talk about platforms. Oh, yeah, the Facebook. Yeah, we got to do the likes thing. Yeah, but why do you need 1 million likes? It's not about a platform. It's about accomplishing a particular strategy. If your business is about immediacy, then you're not going to do it on Facebook, because Facebook is not about immediacy. Twitter's about immediacy. If you need to get a message to a community quickly and expect responses quickly, that's Twitter. That's not Facebook. That's not LinkedIn. If you want to do something that's richer in media, then we have to talk about YouTube or we have to talk about Instagram. We have to talk, your why is going to steer you to which platform. You operationalize your 4 Ps through a platform. Don't start with a platform.
People are so quick to you say, what is social media? And they're so quick to define social media as Facebook, as Twitter, but you need to remember it's not about the platforms, but rather what the platforms enable, and that's social interaction. You have to always kind of bring it back to social interaction, into engagement, engaging with your audience, whoever that audience might be, so exactly.
And the one other piece of advice that I would give from a professional standpoint is keep with the strategy. They're absolutely right. And you want to try and be an expert in something. You don't need to be blogging about anything and everything. Pick 1 or 2 things that really interest you, that you want to become an expert in, and you want to follow those, and then you want to be the first one out when something happens, whether it be on Twitter or to write the blog post on that specific topic. You want to be strategic in picking what it is, but pick something you enjoy. Pick something you like, that matches with what you want to be doing professionally, and really become an expert in that. And social media gives you such a platform to get your name out there. If you now, put, even into Google my name, you'll see all the blogs I've done on social media and employees in social media. It's a really easy way to become an expert in something.
Okay. Anybody have any questions so far? Feel free to step up. Okay. Thank you. That's helpful for me, so I can figure out how to tone my. Sure. Okay, thanks. Okay. Now, how much time should, me as a professional, how much time should I spend a day or a week, on social media and working on that front versus my normal workload? And how about students? How much time should they be spending on social media? Dan, you want to start with that?
Go for it.
I don't know if we should look at it from a time perspective. What do you need to accomplish with what you're trying to do? God, that sounded vague. Didn't that sound vague?
Yeah, but it's right. It's really, it's enough to provide value, really. Whether it's, you're trying to form this community on whatever platform it is, they're not going to stick around unless there's some type of value there for them. There's that end of it, but there's also the end of really creating an online reputation for yourself. I know in my profession, in the accounting firm, we cannot spend a lot of time on social media because our hours are billable. So it really just comes down to what your goal is and really what you want to get out of it. For us specifically, in a professional service, there's absolutely no reason absolutely no reason for you not to know everything about the person that you're going to meet, especially for us because it's all out there. Have you Googled yourself lately? If you haven't, you might want to go home and do that. If I were to meet Dan at an event and I wasn't able to get his business card, what's the first thing I'm going to do? I'm going to go home and I'm going to Google you. Platforms like LinkedIn are so great for you. You have the opportunity to control your online identity. That is huge. So if I can recommend, just something you should be spending your time on maintaining, if we're coming, to kind of working on maintaining something and spending some time every week, it would be really focusing on creating that online identity that you'll be proud of, because LinkedIn works hand in hand with Google, and if it's filled out correctly and appropriately, it should be the first thing to show up for you. You can't miss out on an opportunity like that.
So part of the question is for the audience here, preparing yourself for the job market for your personal profile. The other part of the equation that we heard some of it in this response is you doing the necessary due diligence before you meet someone or before you go into an interview. Sometimes you can get full access to someone's LinkedIn profile. Sometimes you should just spend the $30 or $50 and get LinkedIn Premium to see everything because the job is that big of a job opportunity. Or if you're prospecting for jobs, you would go into LinkedIn Premium or LinkedIn Jobs and spend the $30 or $50 for that particular month to be able to send in-mails to people that you don't have a relationship with yet, or at least to be able to search their entire profile for someone that you don't have a relationship yet with them because you're going to go meet them for the first time. So part of it is managing your personal profile. Part of it is you using it for your preparation for job interviews. So I wouldn't want to put a time period on how much you should spend. It depends on your function and what you need to accomplish at that time.
May I ask how many people in here are on LinkedIn? Whoa, cool.
That's
Okay.
great.
Suzanne, if, sometimes I testify in court, so if somebody's going to cross-examine me, what are they going to look at in my, my LinkedIn and my social media accounts? Not that there's much of anything in there.
They're going to, believe me, you'd be surprised what they can find. It is really unbelievable. And, for anyone out there, just as Dan was explaining how you have to spend the money sometimes and the time to buy that LinkedIn Premium account so that you can research everyone that you're going to be meeting when you go for a job interview, you should expect that any employer is going to be looking to find anything that's publicly available on you on social media. There are people in HR whose entire jobs are doing this now. There are entire companies that do social media background searches now. So you have to be, this is, the warning, you have to be very careful in managing your social media presence. And it's not just LinkedIn. LinkedIn may be your professional page where you have all of your accomplishments and it's very professional, but Facebook as well. Employers are looking, there's a lot that actually is publicly available. And they want to see that you have a professional persona on there. They're going to be looking to see if you would be the right fit for their company. They're looking to see if maybe you might be too immature or if there are drunken photos online. Also, comments that are on chat rooms or things that you just never would think of, comments you've made to blog posts. It's amazing what employers will find and may come into their decision-making process when deciding to make hiring decisions.
I mean, everything on Twitter is open. Something you say at 1:30 in the morning coming out from a friend's house or a bar, and you say it on Twitter, and it's in the open. And someone can just as easy find that as through a Google search.
And I also have to give everyone here a warning. Currently, right here in New Jersey, there's nothing stopping employers from asking you for your Facebook password. Now, as an employment attorney, it is not something I would ever recommend to any of my clients that they do, but they're doing it. And there's a big push, and that some states have actually passed laws that prohibit employers from doing that. Here in New Jersey, our legislature actually did pass a law prohibiting employers from asking candidates for their passwords. However, it has not been signed into law. Governor Christie has not signed it, and all indications look like he will not be signing it. Although what would probably be of interest to all of you too is that a companion piece of legislation was passed at the same time involving universities and schools. And that Governor Christie has signed. So currently, universities and schools, whether it be the athletics or admissions, cannot ask you for your Facebook or any other social media passwords. However, there's nothing at this point here in New Jersey, at least, stopping employers from asking you for your Facebook password so they can see everything that you've ever posted on Facebook. So, it's a scary world out there, and you really have to be very cognizant over what you're putting out there. I used to tell people that, keep LinkedIn as your professional account and keep Facebook as, your personal account. It doesn't work like that anymore. That's just not the world we're living in anymore. And not to mention that Facebook can be so helpful to you professionally. But you really just always have to keep in mind that, there's a dual role for all of these things, and you never know who's going to be looking at what you're posting.
I'm very thankful that LinkedIn has not expanded and started getting into some of the areas that what Facebook does, because then people will start doing what they do on Facebook and LinkedIn. It's a lot easier to keep them separated at the moment, thankfully. Gary.
Two additional comments. It's not just the drunken photos, it's you in a picture with someone holding a drink that can be costly to you because it's built by association, because they'll do the work, even though you're not actually advising. We're standing there with someone as a reflection of the character, which is totally BS, but there's nothing you can do about it because it's there as a very safe principle. Perception. The other thing, got to be careful also, Dana, what is the balance between knowing something about the prospective employer and not giving out too much information at the interview that you appear to be a stalker?
Well, I don't know, if you're going into an interview and I always start the beginning of the semester with who wants a job with the New York Yankees. Half the class raise their hands, the other half the class are Mets fans. I have a couple Phillies fans every so often. But knowing the Yankees, their Mets, upside down and inside out, shows you expertise. It shows you something. I don't know about stalking, though.
Well, when you say first knowing about the person you're interviewing as opposed to the company, the product,
Well,
that's a difference.
the company, the products, and the accomplishments, going into the databases here at Seton Hall and knowing what press releases they had in the last couple of months, of course. But knowing something about the person, if it's on LinkedIn or if it's something that they have on Twitter, it's not like you have to brag that you know the stuff about there. But if the person's a basketball fan and you make a casual basketball reference during your interview, I don't think that hurts you at all.
Even for us, we all know that, this accounting firm needs to fill out this form, the same that this accounting firm needs to fill out this form. We could be qualified as heck, but sometimes it comes down to who you know. And that's such a valuable tool for us to be able to go into LinkedIn and understand relationships and little pieces of information that might give us, a leg up on another equally as qualified, not nearly as fun accounting firm. But, sometimes you just have to kind of make it work. There's so much information on there that you can take advantage of just by being well prepared. It just makes us more prepared, that's all.
And on all these things,
Oh, yeah,
there's...
question.
Oh, go ahead. Do you want the microphone?
Yeah, I'll
Okay.
Let's say I build a really good online profile for myself, really professional and displays good quality. How do I ensure that the future employers see this, or is it just a guarantee that
There are no guarantees, but I can tell you right now, just about any of my clients that I work with, when they're going through the hiring process, one of the first things they're doing, they're putting your name in Google, they're putting your name into LinkedIn. They're looking to try and find any kind of presence you have online. And just with that, I'll also say one really important thing too is for most employers too, you still need to submit a paper resume. You want to make sure that that paper resume matches what you have on your online profile. Employers are very careful and they are checking that what you have submitted on your resume matches what you have on your LinkedIn page because they want to make sure you're being honest. And so it's really important to keep up to date on both.
I mean, the other thing too is you're probably going to be communicating with some of these people electronically. There's no reason why not on the bottom of your email or Twitter contact information that you don't have your LinkedIn public profile thing there. Mm-hmm. If you did that good of a job and you had someone take a look at it for you and it is that impressive, well, yeah, you show it to everybody any chance you can. One other thing, make sure if you spend an awesome job doing your public profile on LinkedIn, but you don't mirror that on Twitter or on Facebook, and they have an opportunity to go somewhere else, and they don't see the same things twice, I don't know about that. You need a little bit of consistency
Has to be
also.
consistent, for sure. So many.
Over here, and then we'll go this way. If it's not a social media, if it's a job that has nothing to do with social media, then sure. If it's a job that has something to do with social media and you don't have a social media presence anywhere, I don't think you're going to get your resume into the smaller pile.
And I think you can kind of, I guess I'm speaking personally, but I think you can sit there and you can know that, it's time for you to really start promoting yourself as a professional. You can think back to how you've been treating Twitter recently or think back to how you've been treating Facebook, and you might be able to start over. You might be able to cancel, your account and maybe create a new one and take it from there, rather than taking the time to go back through and weed everything out, or maybe if you're just not sure how to really work the privacy settings or what's public or what's private, but, maybe you can just start over. But I would definitely, I'm a strong advocate for LinkedIn and a very strong advocate for making sure you have a profile of some type.
No, I would echo that, especially with LinkedIn. And I would say even, if your job or what you're looking for has absolutely nothing to do with social media or you think it doesn't have anything to do with social media, there's probably some aspect that it does, and particularly with LinkedIn and contacts. A lot about getting a job is who you know, and one of the biggest things employers are looking at is they're looking to see who your contacts are and who it is that you know.
I agree.
So I think I would always advise to have, at a minimum, a professional LinkedIn profile page.
We had a couple other questions here. Sure. Yeah. You want to grab the mic?
I know it's amazing what technology can do. I can tell you that for litigations, we hire fancy experts who come in and they get all that stuff that's been deleted. We subpoena Facebook and they have all of those records. There's no such thing as a delete key on any kind of social media. The best advice I can give is if it's out there, and if someone wants to find it, they'll find it.
Think about what the internet is. The internet is a series of servers all around the world that keep backing up. So maybe the servers in the East Coast part, and maybe you get the West Coast and some of the Southeast of the United States, you know. But the servers in New Zealand and Australia that backed it up 2 days ago, even though you deleted 24 hours ago, they already backed it up. So there's a copy of it somewhere else.
Part of, one of the most amazing parts of social media is its viral ability, because it gets posted here and then it's shared here and posted here and posted here and posted here. And if you delete it here, it's probably still 500 other million places.
There's a big controversy going on right now in China with their version of Twitter and how the government actually made a series of celebrities say anti-Apple things on their version of Twitter. And a couple of them screwed up and actually included their instructions in the tweet and what time to tweet. And then it's Weibo, tried to take all those down, but in the process of trying to take them all down, people had various versions of them that were stored on their computers and are posting them on blogs all over the world. Once it's on the internet at some point, it's very difficult, very, very difficult to remove something.
Yeah.
When, I've said many times to students in the past, think that it will be found out. Whatever you do, someone will find out.
Prepare for damage control. I don't, yeah.
And if you don't want it found out, you don't say it, or you don't post it, or you don't do it.
For sure. It's the best advice there is. We all have one. If you are proud and totally confident that these accounts are, you want somebody to see them, I say definitely list them where it counts.
If they are representative, yes.
Yes.
At very least, you're LinkedIn. Mm-hmm. At very least, you're LinkedIn. Exactly. And just like if you were to get like Google AdWords certified, yeah, you plop that right on your business card. Hand someone, yeah, I'm certified. Sure.
No, absolutely. I think it's a very savvy thing to do.
Well, the more the better, no. The quality, the better, yes. I mean, think about even what LinkedIn does to you. If you have more than 500 connections, they don't even tell anybody how many connections you have. They cap it because eventually the number gets irrelevant. I mean, it's not the number of connections you have, it's the quality of connections that you have. I make a rule of thumb that I don't link to anyone that I don't know. And if it is something I don't know, if they don't give me a reason why they're linking to me, i.e. they read something of mine or something, I don't link to them. I don't. I mean, it's not like, Twitter is like an open kind of community. Okay, people can follow you whether you want them to follow you or not. But in LinkedIn, that's more like your digital Rolodex. You don't just throw anybody in there.
When it comes to using LinkedIn for marketing purposes, for whatever type of profession, there's so much value in a network that's just a quality network. Now in LinkedIn, you can sort your contacts by industry, by location, by all these different things. And when you think about the value in that when it comes to marketing purposes, Coming from a professional service firm who does almost all of their marketing by niche-specific activities, there is so much value in that by actually spending the time to add the right types of connections. So when it comes to sharing information, we can do that, and we can do that with confidence. And like I previously mentioned, there's so much value in understanding a relationship. You know, if there's somebody that you do want to know and you can check them out on LinkedIn and then you see that there's a mutual contact there, you can pick up the phone and say, you know, I have a meeting with this person, whether it's for a job, for a business meeting, whatever it is. That link is so valuable. You really don't want to break that, or I don't. So I have to echo. There's just so much value in the relationship you can understand.
You know, that's LinkedIn. On Twitter, there is a very strong culture of reciprocity. If someone follows you, you're supposed to follow them back. But unfortunately, there's so many people out there that you look at the number of followers they have, and they look at the number of people they're following, and the number's like identical. And then you kind of know that they really don't have any relationships with anybody. They're just sitting there all day, follow, and for 2,000 people that they follow, then everybody's like, oh, so happy, look, someone's following me, they follow them back. And they end up with 10,000 followers at the end of the week.
They used to kick you off for rapid following. Do they still?
I don't think so.
Yeah, they used to. I'm not sure. It's been a while.
LinkedIn just started, it's not even 6 months now.
I was going to say, it's very new.
I listened to, what was that? I'll look on my phone and get you the exact thing. I just listened to a very, very good podcast from a LinkedIn expert talking about this, and she was very, very high on it. And I keep saying, I'm like, this is like my friends telling me that I'm a good basketball player. I suck at basketball. Maybe soccer I'm a little bit better, but it's sort of like, I don't know if I see the value yet. Because these are all people that you know really, really well, telling you that you do something that you supposedly do well. I mean, it would be better if it was more of an independent statement of you're a social media expert. But that's not really what LinkedIn is. I'm not sure yet. I mean, I don't think it's bad. I mean, if someone wants to endorse my skills, yeah, I'm going to let them endorse my skills. But I don't know if I'm so gung-ho that would be the magic bullet at this point in time.
And I wouldn't recommend immediately just feeling like you have to endorse back, like you had mentioned in your previous question. I don't think you need to do that.
And I will,
Suzanne, I was going to ask you, who owns somebody's individual contacts on LinkedIn? Would it be the employer, the person?
that's a very interesting question, and it's really hotly debated right now in our legal system. Most people would think it's my LinkedIn account, I own my contacts. Well, a lot of employers are trying to say, no, if you work for me and you've met those contacts, through my business, those are my contacts. I'll tell you, there was a case that just came out very recently out of Pennsylvania, and it was a former CEO of a company, and she had her subordinates helping her maintain her LinkedIn profile. When she left the company, they changed her password, and they put the new CEO's picture up on the password and gave the account to the new CEO. She sued, claiming misappropriation of identity. She wound up actually succeeding on some of the state law claims. She didn't succeed on any of her federal claims, but some of the smaller state law claims for basically misappropriating her identity, she actually was successful, that they tried to, misappropriate her identity. But at the end of the day, the judge said, okay, they should not have done that. They misappropriated your identity, but you don't have any damages from it. So she won, she didn't get any money for it. Employers are getting savvy, though, with this, and they're making employees sign restrictive covenant agreements. And in these agreements, they're asking you to agree that when you leave, so any contacts that you make and that you attach to your LinkedIn profile, when you leave the company, you need to delete those contacts. If that's going to hold up legally, I'm not really sure. But it's really kind of an interesting concept. I've seen other clients of mine who are actually requiring people to set up their own professional LinkedIn accounts to use just on a professional basis that the company keeps the password for, that are basically the company's property, so that when you leave employment or you're terminated for whatever reason, that account basically will remain with the employer.
Yeah, there was a big case on Twitter not that long ago, and I'm trying to think of the
The
example.
The phone dog case.
The
It's
phone,
prob-
that's exactly right. It was the phone dog case.
Ah.
That all those people, even though at three or 4,000 people that he had on Twitter, he lost the Twitter account.
It actually wound up settling, so we actually didn't get a decision on it, which was a disappointment to us employment attorneys. And it was a confidential settlement, so we don't know what happened. But the background on the case was, it was, I guess, a tech person who worked for Phone Dog who amassed an amazing amount of Twitter followers.
He was like the troubleshooter guy, the problem guy, and he would send out the new updates. He would help, people who had problems with the particular software. Who do I talk to? He was like the face of the company, so to speak.
And he left the company, and
He left the company.
he changed his Twitter name, so it was no longer, at Phone Dog, it was his full name, and the company sued him, and claiming that all of his followers were really theirs and were their contacts. And I know us as employment lawyers, we're all following it very closely and wanting a decision, but we didn't get one, so I can't help you with an answer.
Gary?
I'm wondering legally, how did they prove that you made the contact just because you posted on LinkedIn that it was made under your employer's auspices? I mean, if you did it from your home computer, how could they ever trace it and make it from definitely
Well, what they're saying is, clients or contacts that you're meeting, through your employment. And anyone, the way we've been phrasing them is, anyone that, you are making as your contacts, within a certain amount of time. I've seen employers who are requiring that you give them a list of your LinkedIn contacts when you start, so those you can take with you. So you can take those with you when you leave. A little bit of background, so on the legal side, not to get too technical with you, the state of the law legally, pre-social media. And a lot of customer lists are considered trade secrets here in New Jersey. So for a lot of companies, they really value your customer lists. And before social media, a customer list was a piece of paper, or maybe it was a database. And you could not take that with you if you moved on to another company, or you were restricted from speaking to your former clients for a certain amount of time. And those types of agreements are regularly enforced by the courts.
Yeah,
Well,
they take your phone.
yeah. Social media has thrown a huge, curveball for employers now, because no longer are our customer lists, sitting on a database or sitting in a Rolodex. They're on people's LinkedIn accounts. And, technically, while customer lists are still trade secrets, how do employers protect that trade secret when they're on, their thousands of employees' personal LinkedIn accounts? So it's really an issue that there is no good answer right now on, and it's going to be litigated, and it's going to continue to be litigated till we get a clearer answer right now.
Just to follow up on that earlier comment about LinkedIn, the blog is the Social Media Examiner, and the podcast is with Stephanie Sammons, and it's about a 35-minute podcast only on LinkedIn, and she's a LinkedIn expert.
Do we have
I
any
had a
other
hand here.
questions? Back to the left.
Yeah.
Yeah, go ahead.
One of the neat things about Google Plus, and I know none of us use Google Plus that much, is you have the ability to do tighter circles within your network, that you can have one circle not talk to the other circle. And I kind of wish we had a little bit more of that in LinkedIn, and we do not.
My rule of thumb for that would be, just don't connect with somebody that you wouldn't recommend to somebody else. So that's really how I just think about it. And if you have to go back into your LinkedIn and really just kind of clean it up, don't feel bad about doing that, because there's too much value to be had in LinkedIn for you to kind of dilute that just by, you're worried about hurting somebody's feelings. But I would just, think about connecting with somebody only if you would really, truly recommend them to somebody else. It is a reflection on you when you get
And what about all these groups? Like times I get invitations to join groups. Like the TMA, Paul will say I should join the TMA. So obviously that's a good one for me to join. But other things like former employers, alumni groups, trade organizations. How do I pick which one to join? And is it similar to the contacts? What will do the best for me? What will work the most for me?
Again, I think you want to be strategic. You don't need to join 500 groups just to join 500 groups. I think you want to join groups that will help you professionally when you're talking about LinkedIn, ones that you have a real interest in. But I think they can be incredibly powerful. I know, through certain alumni associations, even, my college has a specific group for lawyers. It's an alumni lawyers, association through my college. I've gotten quite a few referrals through that. So you want to be strategic about which groups you want to join, but I think there's a lot of power in them, and it's a great way to connect with, similar people or a wider network of people.
I mean, let's just say you're interested in corporate social responsibility or nonprofit marketing, and you join the corporate social responsibility nonprofit marketing group on LinkedIn, and there's 10,000 members on that group. You have the ability as a member of that group, even with the regular LinkedIn, not the paid one, to only look at the New York, New Jersey area of that group. And then all of a sudden there's a list of about 288 people that have the exact job that you want. It even helps to find out what's the name of the companies these people work at for you to start thinking about these companies and targeting these companies for resumes, let alone trying to develop a conversation with any of the people that have the job that you would like to have. And I don't think there's any other way to find that information out other than LinkedIn. Maybe they're blogging and you could look them up on a blog, but if they're not blogging, how do you find out who that person is?
Right.
The groups are powerful.
It's just so easy now. It never used to be this easy. Long gone are the days that you need to pay for pricey subscriptions to D&B and Hoovers and do all of this legwork to find, to really get that in the community that, we always talk about social media and sharing information, but it's also such an effective way to get information. There's just, people inside those groups are talking about hot topics, what's going on in the industry. It's a great way for you guys to get information, to connect with the people that matter. LinkedIn will even tell you who are the top influencers in those groups. And those are probably people that you want to know. It's just become so easy, and it's just a community that you want to spend your time in there.
I mean, I'm a member of 3 or 4 different social media groups on LinkedIn. I see webinars for free from some of the best people in social. And it's free. And I don't know how else 5 years ago I would have ever gotten this information other than through LinkedIn. How would I know? Where would I go? It's very powerful. Now, I'll admit, I'm a member of 47 groups. I get a lot of spam, because of some consulting stuff that I do and stuff that I'm interested, former schools that I were at. So I'm on a lot of groups. I get a lot of emails from groups. And some of them I only kind of delete right away. But some of them I really do follow.
We had a question over here on the aisle. Yeah?
Stretching?
Okay, sure, go ahead.
That's a really good point.
That is a good one.
I tell every one of my students to customize their resume and their cover letter for whatever job that they're applying for.
I think the key is, I think employers understand that you may customize your resume for the particular job, but you want to make sure that the information on there is consistent. You don't want to be leaving off jobs. That you want to make sure that everything is reflected and that things that are on your resume and dates and things on your resume or accomplishments are consistent with what is on your LinkedIn profile. I think consistency would be the key, and just making sure that there's not glaring omissions on the two. I think employers clearly understand that, the paper resume you hand in may be specifically targeted to that job, and they in fact would appreciate that. But it's more of a spot check when they're looking on LinkedIn. They don't have to look identical, but they want to make sure that you're being honest and you're being forthright and you're not hiding things on either one.
Wilson?
We have a question here to the right. Go ahead.
Can I take this one? I work for an accounting firm. If accountants can do it, anybody can do it. Yes, I'm so happy for you. No, but really, you just have to kind of take the time to prove the value, because I always love to kind of put it this way. For the companies that are the early adopters and the slowest to kind of jump on, it probably means that you're in an industry where the window of opportunity is even bigger for you. So you really just need to spend the time on the strategy and just kind of, you need to figure out how to make it work. And when you have your case, you need to sell it with numbers, and you need to really just spend the time on the strategy and just, start slowly, start, very refined in your strategy, and just keep it up, because it's not going to happen right away. And, be legally sound in every single thing you do. Do the crap out of your research. Make sure you're really doing it the right way. And it's very exciting for an industry or a company like that, because the window of opportunity is that much bigger.
I think that's an exciting opportunity, and the reason why is because that means you got a job. Most of the scenarios that my students are walking into now that they're getting a social media job, you're the social media person for the entire company, because they're just getting started. That's why they're hiring you. That means you're getting a job. Now, of course, there's going to be some frustrations, and there'll be some translations, and they're going to think about it in terms of, oh, social media, it's just like we used to run ads 10 years ago, or we used to do PR, and they keep thinking of it as a one-way communication tool when it's not that. So yeah, there'll be some education, but one of the upsides to social media is there's lots of trackability, there's lots of ROI. You're going to be able to show them the impact of something that you did relatively quickly, within a couple of hours, as a matter of fact. So if they do give you a couple $100 to go do some little experiment, you can come back the next day and say, look what happened. And they'll go, huh?
Sarah, can you explain something you did? First of all, can you tell us about your background and with your students who want to know what kind of background you like educationally to get a job on social media, and we'll also explain to everyone about your viral videos that you did for Widow and what the impact it had.
I wish I had a screen I would show you. I can show you later. So I started, like I said kind of earlier, 6 years ago for Witham. I came on, I went to school for marketing, actually. I was a marketing major. I had a concentration in market research. And when I was in school for marketing, I, for some reason, thought that I just had to end up selling sneakers or Pepsi products or Nike, or would be working at a big advertising firm in New York City. An accounting firm is probably the last place that I thought I would end up, but I couldn't imagine being anywhere else. So really quickly, if I can give you a piece of advice, look in the awkward places, look in the least likely of places to carve your niche, kind of like we were just talking about with social media. There's so many opportunities. So I hopped on to do some large-scale event planning. I internship with them, and I loved the company. So when they were willing to create a role for me, which isn't exactly what I saw myself in, I was quick to jump on it. The economy was kind of funky. The people were great. They treated me very well. And slowly but surely, I just started introducing social media and a different type of marketing than they were used to, which I know all of you can do. And I'll just give you a quick story on something that's kind of cool that has been happening for us in the past few years. But every January, we'll do something called the State of the Firm meeting. And it's a really cool opportunity for us. We'll bring in, all of almost 500 of us in one place, and it's a big meeting, all of our offices, and we kind of talk about, it's in January, so we talk about how things went the past year, what we see for the future. We do some really cool staff awards. It's just absolutely amazing for us. Gets everybody all amped up, and then we send them into tax season. But hopefully they make it out on the other end. And we kick off this event with what used to be a photo slideshow set to some cool music, and everybody loved it. They saw their faces on the screen, and it was a lot of fun. But 3 years ago, we tried something new. one of our partners in the Toms River office saw something on the Today Show. It was just a really cool continuous shot of Black Eyed Peas, everybody lip syncing and doing this really fun thing. And he sent it over to the marketing department and said, "Wouldn't this be cool? Good luck." And so we took it, and I said, I'm going to try and do this. And I did it that year. That was the first year, 3 years ago. We had about 65 people participate, and this started as a purely internal marketing piece for us, as it remains today, but now we kind of understand the reach of and the virality of something like this. But overnight, we posted that on our website, and we woke up the next day, and our website was going crazy. And we started seeing it on Twitter. We started seeing it on LinkedIn. And these are dancing accountants, by the way. So, just, again, it's kind of making content. And we have another partner who's laughing over there because he knows. But it's just, you can make yourself relevant. You can make yourself, it's just absolutely incredible, the reach of social media. And things that we didn't even envision, but now we truly understand, started happening for us. SEO started going crazy. So we started boosting up slowly and slowly and slowly on Google search results. And that would be when you did search terms like New Jersey accountants, which you can't really pay for anymore. There's just so many things that kind of weigh in when it comes to search engine optimization that's so powerful and so valuable for us. And, that in accordance to something else, Rachel Ray found us, and she did a segment on us on doing makeovers during accounting, during tax season. And she said she did a Google search result. She did some research on the firm and thought our culture matched what she was doing. And so these additional opportunities, they might not be daytime TV, but they're going to be something else for you, all, using social media the right way. We've done 3 videos since then, and they've gotten progressively funnier and bigger. So grab me afterwards outside. I'll give you my card, and I'll share those with you. But again, if an accounting firm can do it, you guys can do it. It's social media.
Suzanne, what are the benefits or, the positives, negatives of being the firm's social media expert?
I think really it only is positives, and the only negative would be on my time, because there are so many questions. Everyone now knows what social media is, and everyone wants to be involved in social media, but most people don't know how to do it, and they just are clueless, and they're looking for guidance, and there are so many companies out there, individuals out there, they want guidance. They're looking for people to be experts who can help guide them on this. So I think the real positive is it gives you an incredible platform. This is something, it was a personal interest of mine, and I saw this becoming an issue for some of my clients, so I'm like, I'm gonna learn about this. And it really has given me a chance to get, well far ahead in my field and ahead of a lot of my colleagues by kind of carving out a niche for myself. And that's always a great place you want to be in as a professional. And I think social media really, it's just, also it keeps changing. So to be an expert in it, that's I guess the other negative in some ways. You got to be on top of it. You've got to be reading every single day. It changes daily. And sometimes that gets tough. To keep on top of everything. But if you can do that and can capitalize on it, there are such opportunities out there.
I mean, just Facebook, LinkedIn, and Twitter. Half of the things that they're doing now, they weren't doing 12 months ago. And that's a challenging aspect for it. It's already something to confusing and foreign to begin with, and then once you get a little comfortable with it, they change. And that's kind of the nature of where this industry's at. And that's what kind of helps it keep it in the wild, wild west mode as opposed to it being more standardized. I'm starting to see some more common things pop out. From a consulting or a buzzword background where you keep hearing this term big data, that has sort of been standardized. Social media listening is something that the software and the buzzwords are starting to line up where everybody seems to be talking about the same thing all the time. That shows that there's maturity within social media, but it's still rapidly changing, and it's still the Wild Wild West.
We have a question in the back. This will be our last question. So, not to
Make
put
it a
any
good
pressure
one.
on you.
A lot of pressure.
I think there's actually 2 questions. There's a lot of concern
start you and then go this way.
You know, I wish I could give you a better answer. I think there's a lot of push from, on both the state and the federal side to start trying to create regulations around social media. And then, just as big a push as there is to start having more regulation, there's another side that's just as loud that wants to keep everything as open and as free as possible. And right now, I don't think I could tell you, where it's going to play out in the future. But, as the employment attorney sitting up here, the one piece of advice I do want to give you all before we leave today is when you do get that great job that I know you all are going to get, and you start one of those first few days and you're going to get that huge stack of paper from your HR with all the policies, besides searching through it to find out your vacation and holiday policies, find their social media policy. Most companies have it now, and that will tell you, it'll be an outline of what you can and cannot do. And I think you'd all be surprised what employers can privately regulate their employees from doing on social media. And you really want to be careful of that, and you don't want to be running afoul of their social media policies, because that great job that you just got, you could lose in a blink of an eye because you're running afoul of some of their social media policies.
I mean, this could be next year's conference. This could be an hour discussion. Apart from the company perspective, if we look at it from the platform perspective, oh my God, they really control everything that they want to control. You hate to use the term big brother, but yeah, Mark Zuckerberg owns you. And I don't want to sound dramatic or anything like that, but they own almost to the point where he can legally use you to promote other products and brands without you knowing it, called sponsored stories. Yeah, they have, if you keep wondering why the Facebook terms of service keeps changing, it's because they keep changing it in their favor to be able to do what they want to do. And they're not the only one. If anybody's had a Gmail account for the last 5 years have noticed that Gmail has changed radically, and Gmail's terms of service has changed radically. Every time you download one of these apps on your phone, and there's a little simple, do you agree? And there's like 15 seconds of scrolling before, oh yeah. If you're worried about privacy, then unplug, get out.
Yeah. The good news is, at the end of the day, you're still in control of every single thing that you post. So you really need to think about it that way. And when it comes to privacy, I would hate, also one of the coolest things about social media, whether it's a big brand, a small business, whatever it might be, people were always kind of, the cautious are always, what if they're saying something negative about me on social media? I don't want that happening. One of the coolest things about social media is that people were always talking about you. People were always saying negative things. So it's kind of fun and it's kind of interesting now to be able to see what those things are and learn from them and act on them. So personally, I would hate for that to be taken away, especially because you can control the things that you post.
Think about it from the perspective of the platforms. We sign up for these services and we think they're free and they're great, but they're not free. To Google, you're worth somewhere between $5,000 and $35,000 a year. That's how much they sell against you and your profile and what you do. Some people are worth even more. You may think they're free, but they're free in dollar terms, but they're not free.
Okay, Susan wants to say a couple words.
They make money. Lots of money.
Yeah, I would like some. May I have some?
That was an amazing discussion. I learned so much. I'm sure you all have too. Now we have two officers from our Entrepreneurship Club, Celine Pressler and Jessica Page, and they would like to present our speakers with gifts. And please join me in a round of applause.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Very unnecessary.
Look at that.
We have a lot of groups to thank tonight. In addition to the TMA, the Entrepreneurship Club, the Epsilon, New Tao, our other Entrepreneurship Club, Marketing Club, the Investment Club, Alpha Kappa Psi, and the Stillman Management Association all supported this event. So thank you so much, students from those clubs.